afternoon, Cedarfield family. I hope all is well with you on this June 1st. I can't believe it's June 1st. Renee and Trish. It is 3 o'clock, and if you are here at the community, I thank you for tuning in. If you are listening to this video tonight, we thank you for taking precious time away from your family to listen about some details of Cedarfield. So for the last 13 weeks that we have facilitated this chat experience at 3 o'clock, the first sentence I have said, I can probably go back and look at every one of them, and the first sentence I have said is, "Good afternoon, Cedarfield family." I'm pretty confident that 100% of these last 12 weeks of videos have started out that way. And so the reason I say that is over this past week, there have been many residents that I have been talking with about our strength as a community. The word community for many residents and team members doesn't really go far enough. And so over this last week, I've been contemplating, what is Cedarfield's strength? What are we learning through these last 12 weeks of this worldwide pandemic that actually touched us here? What are we learning? What is our strength? Over the past few days, in response to this increasingly complex and multicultural and diverse society, we have recognized certainly the value of creating an environment that welcomes residents and welcomes team members with all backgrounds in a very cultural, responsive way. For many years, yours truly has been in retirement communities for 23 years, and we've had training and educational efforts that emphasize attaining to a cultural competency or a mastery in a number of values or mission statements as a model for reaching such an approach of a culture at a community. And while these training sessions are certainly worthy and on a real world level, the hope of attaining 100% of residents and team members to competently remember our vision, our mission, it really stands on, in my opinion, kind of really laser focused on this for the last week. It stands on wobbly ground. And I've been reading this concept over the last few months, and over this last week, this concept has really hit home to me, especially everything that's going on outside of Cedarfield. Right in our backyard, and also just thinking about the strength of Cedarfield. And it has to do with a term called cultural humility. When I think of the Cedarfield family, I think of cultural humility. It's a term that was coined by two female physicians, Melanie Travelon and Jane Mary Garcia, in 1998, to describe a way of infiltrating multiculturalism into their work as healthcare professionals. It's a process of being inquisitive and self-reflective and a lifelong approach to caring for one another, caring for our neighbor, or caring for a person right in front of us. It's cultural humility, in contrast to the idea of cultural competency, where cultural humility is never mastered. It's shaped by every single encounter that we have with every person. We must have and maintain a very open heart and a very open mind to receive our strength as a Cedarfield family, which is the gift of one another, and to receive cultural humility. We have to have an open heart and an open mind. It absolutely, this term, maybe it's not a new term to many of you, it actively emphasizes not just listening, but active listening. And it seeks out to understand the person that is right in front of you. And there is no endpoint. There's no training that we're done in 60 minutes. It is a lifelong effort. And when I got home from work on Friday night at 5 o'clock and listening to the news, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, I could not help but to think of two things. One, the strength of the Cedarfield family coming together. And two, cultural humility that truly exists here at Cedarfield. It's our gift. Throughout June, I hope to redirect conversation in these next 29 days from aiming to be culturally competent to embedding cultural humility at Cedarfield. We're going to plant the seeds in this term. Although, if we really examine the term, it is really alive and well at Cedarfield already. We will create space and energy for some very authentic cultural courtesy and conversation rather than pressuring team members to memorize our mission statement or our values, which was what I've been doing for 23 years, just trying to have classes about values and mission statements so that people understood what the culture is of the team. And while all of that's probably really important, it's the experiences behind the individual. It's the way that they were brought up. It's the lessons learned that we need to bring out of people, residents and team members and our strategic partners, so that they can lift up the culture of our community. It's been really an enlightening last week for me. It's one of these milestone aha weeks for me last week. And as a Cedarfield family, our responsibility and calling is to partner with, it's always been to advocate for, and empower the residents, the families, and the team members to bring out the best of all of us and put those experiences on the table so that we can have an intellectual discussion. And to do this successfully, we need to be willing to sit down, to be present, to actively listen to the person that's right in front of us, especially when we're facing difficult decisions. So June marks the beginning of our fiscal year. I can't believe we're having the new fiscal year for Cedarfield and for Pinnacle Living, June 1st. And I think it marks the beginning of, happens to be the best time to reignite our mission, vision, and values, and an understanding of it as maybe the seedlings, but to start asking more open-ended questions and reflective listening so that we can continue to explore concerns and thoughts and ideas of 800 people that either work or live here. We need to continually to challenge ourselves with openness and to learn from those that we serve, the residents and the families. I've learned this weekend is just one of those, another moment of time for me where it's our responsibility. Every one of us that works here or lives here, it's our responsibility to stand up. Yeah, sure, we all know that looting and stealing, those things aren't right. We know that. But it's our time to stand up. How would you like that knee on your neck? Nobody would. That moment of time is talking about many things over many decades that still exists. Just love this picture. One race. I love this picture too. Giving a fist bump. Seeking to learn, listening from one another. It's certainly Cedarfield's strength. Without question. The Cedarfield family, our strength is this term I've just learned over the last several months called cultural humility. But we can't take it for granted. We need to work at it. It's a lifelong effort. And certainly, folks that either work here or live here are experiencing some of what we're hearing over the weekend. And we need to rise up and continue to have the conversation and listen empathetically to one another so that we can help at least do our part here at Cedarfield in helping people of need. So, those are my little words of wisdom here on Monday afternoon. Cultural humility. So, Cedarfield Forward, our three-phase plan. I just want to thank, there's a couple of families and residents that took advantage of certain aspects of Cedarfield. Does anybody know who this is right here? Renee? Trish? Who is this? This is Louise Smith. She turned 104 on Saturday. And her family came. This is the hub booth that the maintenance team created over in assisted living. There's one other, I think this was her son-in-law. Is this his son? This is her son. Waiting with arms wide open to give his mom a hug at 104 years old. You wouldn't know it if you're talking to her. She really is amazing. And so, just a little shout out to the maintenance department. Otherwise, this experience couldn't even happen. Thank you to the maintenance department for creating this little hug booth. There's a video that goes with it. I couldn't quite just get it uploaded, but they sang happy birthday to her. There's plexiglass that's located right at this location, and everybody could hear one another just great. It was just one of those moments on Saturday where it was all worthwhile of even asking the maintenance team to even build something like this. All in a very safe way. And so, if there's any family that's out there in assisted living, this area is ready, and the team is willing and able to make these experiences alive and well for you as well. Just call either the neighborhood leader or the clinical leader, and they will schedule something up for you. Additionally, anybody know whose birthday this was?
Looks like Mary Esther Cawthorn.
Mrs. Hawthorne. So Saturday as well, there were many residents that gathered in the Pathways to Wellness building, socially distanced, wearing masks, but yet celebrating a very important day for Mrs. Hawthorne. And so this weekend, these are two examples of probably 26, 27 examples of residents or families or team members just calling in, sending an email or a text about what they're doing to keep our Cedar Field forward in front of them, and how they're sharing it with not only people who live here, but how they're sharing our shared values with folks that you have been visited around the area. So I'd like you all to see a couple of these good news pictures. Speaking of our COVID-19 communication and our Cedar Field Forward plan, I just want to remind everybody, it was a great weekend. Many people were able to get out. I don't want us to lose sight that we are in phase 1 of the Cedar Field plan. And this particular phase really highlights the fact that we are safer at home. I may have mentioned last week very briefly, because I didn't want really anybody to know about it, that last week was my birthday. And my mother-in-law, if you're watching tonight on this video, thank you, Janice, she got me a gift card for Grubhub. It's a service that goes to restaurants in the area, those of you who are familiar with it, and then they deliver your food. And my mother-in-law knows that Julie and I are trying our hardest to stay at home. We've visited in the last 12 weeks 2 places, Publix and CVS. That pretty much sums it up. And so even on my birthday, we got a Grubhub gift card, and because we wanted to, my wife and I are continuing to practice probably the most important piece to the entire Cedar Field Forward plan. If you're looking at the state guidelines and the federal guidelines, the most important piece to phase 1 is this, that you are safer at home. In fact, I was on a conference call on Friday late afternoon with many county officials, folks from the Commonwealth, and some folks over at the Virginia Healthcare Coalition, along with many of the providers like Cedar Field around the Commonwealth. And it is estimated, even if you're looking at the UVA predictor, COVID-19 predictor, it looks as if we're going to probably have about 5,000 cases a day through the summer. So this disease is, just because it's hot outside, does not mean that this is really slowing down exponentially. So you're safer at home. 5,000 new cases predicted a day throughout the summertime. Secondly, part of our shared values has to do with wearing masks. Is anybody tired of wearing a mask yet? Of course we all are. We got Renee's raising her hand, Trisha's raising her hand, and I am too. Certainly, wearing a mask is just old business. It's just getting very old. However, it's one of the most important weapons to fighting this invisible enemy, as they call it. It's our best defense against the spread. On Friday, we announced that in case you did not have a mask, we would make some available over at the concierge desk. So thank you to the residents who were honest and know that they didn't have a mask and came to the concierge desk to pick up a 3-ply surgical mask. James Green, not quite sure if he did it today, but here this week, we're going to make masks available down in the store at a very reasonable price. I think he's coined the phrase 5 for 5. So if you need a mask, we have a great personal protective equipment inventory here at Cedarfield, and now we're able to offer some of our inventory down in the store instead of making sure that we have it and we're closely monitoring it for the healthcare professionals. Mainly because we have no known cases of COVID-19 in the licensed areas of Cedarfield, so we're able to loosen things up a little bit. So please continue to wear your mask. And I am so incredibly proud, I won't mention their names, 3 residents called me over the weekend to tell me that they have been contact traced. I couldn't believe it. It was music to my ears. My wife said, "What are you yelling? What are you hooting and hollering at?" 3 residents went to restaurants this weekend, 2 of which in this area and 1 further down towards Williamsburg. They checked in at the hostess stand, and guess what? Those 3 restaurants had a COVID since Friday night through Sunday. They caught word that they had a COVID-19 situation at their restaurant. And so these 3 residents were on their lists to call in the event that something popped up. And so those restaurants called the resident, and the resident called us. Hip, hip, hooray! Contact tracing is just another secret weapon that protects yourself and protects everyone around you. So, if you are not going to a restaurant and they're not checking you in with your name and address and telephone number, I would ask the owner, ask the hostess, please take my information in case you need to contact trace me, so that we can do our part in sharing what we're doing to the businesses around us to make some sense of all of this. Anyway, contact tracing is our secret weapon. Thank you for all of the residents and families who have listened to Renee's call to call her first before your visitor may come to pick you up and take you off the property. We've had how many phone calls? 10, 20, maybe about 20 phone calls have come in over the last 4 to 5 days about someone scheduling a pickup for a resident who does not have a car. And I must say, the residents have answered, once again, great socially distant pickups. So we have seen many of the 20 hop in the back seat of the car. One resident even reported that their family member doesn't usually drive the SUV, but because they knew they were picking up mom and we needed to be socially distant, they came with a bigger car so that mom could be 6 feet apart from the driver. Can I get an amen? Amen! Residents are doing their part. It's just great to hear and to listen to all these stories. The library is open for business, and from what I've heard, the library is going very well, and folks are listening to our socially distant shared values in this community space. Can I get a third amen? Housekeeping started today. 45 minutes per cleaning. Sharon and the team are out there socially distant with the correct personal protective equipment, and they are doing some cursory cleaning, and they'll be continuing to do that all this week. Can I get an amen? Housekeeping is back in business, and the beauty shop is back in business along with the barber. So they have started to cut hair. I think we've done one perm so far. And so those of you that still need to schedule your haircuts or a visit with the beautician, Kathy, please do so. And she, like I said last week, the Department of Health came and she passed with flying colors, was 100% compliant with all of their standards. And then last but not least, probably the biggest shout out, the thank you of everything, the mailroom. Residents have been socially distant and compliant with the 6-foot rule in the mailroom. This was a big one because there were many residents concerned that they were in this space and that there was an overabundance of residents in this crowded little space last week. So we've done a really great job over the last few days in helping this space be compliant with social distancing. So thank you to all the residents for complying with those stickers that Renee ordered. Do you all like those little footsie stickers instead of the blue tape all around? Thank you to Renee for ordering those floor stickers for us. Okay, those of you that are concerned or like to see COVID-19 by the numbers, this slide has not changed. Does it say 63? Yeah, 63. The slide has not changed since Friday, which gives us reason to continue on with living out phase 1 of this Cedar Field Forward COVID-19 plan. Couple of updates. We are still on target for June 15th, 2 Mondays from now, Renee. Our first resident will move into D-Wing, and we're pretty excited about it. And then a few others will follow her throughout the month of June, and then the lion's share of that building will be occupied throughout July and August. Pond dredging is coming to a conclusion. I know there's been a couple of residents who have emailed and said, could they work on, while the tractors are there, could they work on the east side of the pond and dredge it out a little bit more, or come over to the north side and dredge that side out more? So apparently we have a lot of people who are very attentive with that particular project, and yours truly has no control over that. The county, the Department of the DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, and the Army Corps of Engineers have drafted what they wanted in that space, although Cedar Field had to pay for it. That's a whole other story. And so to make punch list items at this point is not a reality. So they've done their work, and you should start to see a demobilization of this equipment here in the next couple of days. Families that are listening tonight, grocery shopping, residents that wish to take advantage of the grocery shopping experience, main building, 3rd floor, tonight by 8 o'clock, if you can get in your order, that would be great, at 747-8895. And then the supply shuttling program will kick back up today for residents in the independent living apartments. And then on Wednesday, if you are living in the area and wish to drop off a goodie bag, a brown bag of items for someone that lives here, and they happen to live in the cottages, then Wednesday is the day for you, between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock at Gaskins in Mayland. Behind those couple of hotels, there's a park and ride. The maintenance department is beyond creating or drafting what is a visitation vista. They are in production mode. So hopefully on our Wednesday chat here at 3 o'clock, I will have some more news about and pictures of our first visitation vista. Any questions coming in today? If anybody has any questions, feel free to text right now. So we keep the theme of today's chat is what have we learned? What have I learned as a community? What are we learning as a community? And again, the Cedarfield family, I think, is stronger than we know it. As I had mentioned at the top of the hour, what have I learned personally, which also bleeds over professionally? What have I learned throughout the last 13 weeks? Here's what I've learned. Quite honestly, being an executive director of Cedarfield is really the easy part of my life when compared to being a father. And what I've learned over the last 13 weeks, I thought I really had the ability to slow down and recognize that I was going too fast. Renee tells me that all the time. Michael, slow down and be the plan. But the one thing I've learned over the last 13 weeks to not take for granted is the moment of time. Those precious seconds. The minutes that could seemingly just go right out the door if we're working too fast and if we're so consumed with our tablets and our smartphones and looking for information. Life can really go by so incredibly quickly. It's June 1st. Fishing season for me really starts in April. But I didn't even go fishing in April and May, primarily because I was here 70 hours a week. But that's probably the biggest thing I've learned over the last 13 weeks, is just slowing down. Spending the seconds and the minutes to do the really important things, like going fishing with my son. This is Tyler. We were over the Innsbruck pond, one of the ponds across from Knuckles Road. And boy, there's a lot of fish in that pond. And they stole our worms more than you can shake a stick at on Saturday morning. But this little guy, Tyler, was holding the rod with me, and I saw that little bobber going down. Again, moment in time, right? We're talking about seconds. Just concentrating on a little bobber floating on top of the water. And it went right under for a second, and I said, Tyler, lift up that rod. And he did, and he got this fish. And he was so incredibly excited. While he was catching this fish, this is what Roger said. He said, Dad, fishing, we know why we're out here fishing. We're out here to catch the big fish. But fishing and being out here, there's another reason why, Daddy. Being by the water teaches us patience and enjoying our surroundings. And if we're not doing that, who cares about the big fish? And then, of course, Tyler raised his hand and said, well, I care about the big fish. This is the only fish we caught all morning. But it's the moment in time, right? That's what I learned on Saturday. It's what I've learned over the last 13 weeks. Slow down. Enjoy the moments of time that really mean the difference of what life's all about. Okay, Margaret is here for some spiritual well-being.
Okay, I'll go back to it. afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here again. In searching for something for today's spiritual moment, I came across an Irish blessing online. The author is unknown, but I would like to share that with you. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your side. May the sun shine warm on your face and rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Amen. And we have good news. And this is Jordan Chalkin. He was recently named commander for Company F, as well as battalion commander for the ROTC Army Cadets at VMI. His very proud grandma is Ellen Hoffheimer, and we wish him a big congratulations.
One more thing about garden beds. A question came in about garden beds, and it is our hope to start construction on those garden beds just as soon as we have one permission from the county, and we're actively looking for that permission this week. So hopefully on Wednesday, I will have some news about garden beds and the timing of the next phase of that, the construction of those garden beds. Have a great day, everybody. Here's John Denver,